We are back, and we are in the middle of our after hours with Mike Shatzel, sponsored by Thin Man Brewery, which is kind of ironic because you own Thin Man Brewery.
Well, technically my wife does, but it's great to be here, though, with you guys.
And you brought us a case of beer.
Yeah, we had to come and properly display the cans that are available around Western New York.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, you've supported us since 2017.
Yeah, since day one. I know CB, Chris Boron, reached out, and then this thing was happening. I said, how do I get involved? And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that I know we did like kind of round up your round up the check at all the restaurants.
Yep.
And then I know we did draft of the beer, and where people would,
Yep.
$1 of every pint sold in Western New York
Yep.
would go to you guys. And
Yep. That was really cool because back then, Thin Man just was on Elmwood,
Yep.
and you were brewing out of there, lower volume than you're able to do now, but and it was all draft. But you guys were so gracious. You brewed a batch. We had a kickoff party there, and then restaurants all around, including your own,
Yep.
a bunch of them, had the beer. That was awesome. And you guys donated a lot of money to the original 11 Days, so we really appreciate that.
The first year was $19,000.
Yeah, I think it was a nice little donation, and the fact that it was just draft then, so it's hard to market a beer when it's just poured in a pint glass. So this, when we picked it up again this year, to have, this year with the logo and everything, and then all the Wegmans and our distributor TJ Sheehan working with you guys, really.
Yeah, TJ got our beer.
We were so excited about it, and unfortunately, COVID hit and kind of ruined all our ideas of grandeur.
Yeah, so talk about how what you see on the screen here is what's going on with the beer.
Yeah, that's the canning line in extra slow motion, it seems. But
there's the
that's the canning machine. Once we opened up on Chandler, it really allowed Thin Man to kind of become what it is today. Just the canning, just being in all the stores and people seeing the labels of Power Play or Mickey Boodle, or it just people can relate to it. Then they're out in a bar and they're like, oh, that's the can I bought. I'll try it on draft, and it's really allowed us to become one of the leading breweries in Western New York.
Yeah, it's been great.
I mean, it's raised awareness for us. I mean, I know Rob Carnival from Sheehan actually put a display with the jerseys and a description of the event so that people could be educated on the event.
Yeah, like Wegmans Amherst, I go in there, if I got my kids in tow, they're so excited to see it, and then he's got the jersey, and it's it's really cool. And then the fact that Sheehan took it outside of Buffalo, that was in Rochester and I believe Syracuse and maybe even Ithaca down there, so really and I know that some calls were maybe coming from those cities asking how they can play and stuff, so I think it and I imagine 2021 hopefully everything's kind of cleared up and this thing can go to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So Mike, you've opened up so many restaurants. I mean, you're Mr. Buffalo. I mean, when I think of you, I think of Buffalo, and you've opened up so many restaurants. Could you tell everyone a little bit about Cole's, where everything started, and how long your family has been involved with Cole's?
So my dad bought Cole's in 1973, so he's the third owner. Originally opened in 1934.
Same spot.
Same spot. So this year we're 86, I guess. It's where I grew up. I spent my time there. It's where I go in the mornings and count. My dad would let me count the quarters. Where everything was cash back then. So there's a ton of quarters. Then I started busting Sunday brunch when I was 10. And then I washed dishes. Then I was a busboy, and then bartender and bar back. So I've done it all, and that kind of just instilled me the love of the restaurant business. From there, I always felt I was kind of under my father's shadow. It's like Cole's is great. You're doing
He's a big
great.
Personality.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, you just open up. You're just kind of doing what your dad started. So I felt the need to kind of do my own thing. So from there, I did Blue Monk, and which I think changed the.
That was one of the first, really the first place that went, whoa, this is cool, this is different, and your fingerprints all over that.
Yeah, Blue Monk changed beer forever in Buffalo. Shortly after that, you had Flying Bison there. People were sort of into craft beer, but not crazy yet. This was 2010, and then that.
But the cool part about that, before we go on, you go to Belgium and Germany. Like, you weren't just buying beer from a distributor. You were like going to these places, meeting the people brewing the beer, and bringing it back and having like real stories and the history of the beer. So that was genuine.
Yeah, I jumped in full beer. Like, once I kind of figured out, like, Coles is where I started it. We used to have 10 draft lines, then 12, and then 20, and then when I just started, I remember I put the first IPA on ever, and it just started selling Harpoon. It just started selling like crazy. I'm like, I think I'm onto something here. And then I just started adding draft lines up to 36. And I remember an old-time Coles bartender, Joe Lang, he's like, you really want me to charge $8 for a glass of beer? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then, like, we had this group, this is Delirium Tremens, I don't know, it's 9% beer. And these guys started figuring out they were getting pictures of it for $45. And he was like, I'm blown away. He's like an old school.
Right.
Rest in peace, Joe. But it just started really taking off. And then I felt that people wanted that kind of, Delirium or Chimay, these like kind of high-end Belgian beers 24/7, but they didn't really want to deal with the craziness of Coles on the weekend.
Right.
It got a little younger and, pretty wild and rap music or whatever the hell was playing.
Right.
But so then I went to Amsterdam with Charlie Goldman from Third Room and Third Room fame, and then I found this awesome bar called Gollum in Amsterdam. I'm like, I'm opening this in Buffalo, and then that's where Blue Monk came from.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And so you had Blue Monk, and then
I think from Blue Monk, then I teamed up with Jason Davidson to open up Liberty Hound, and which has been for kind of the first thing. We're down in Canal Side, sort of down here, at least on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know what Canal Side was until I opened Liberty Hound. So they're like, oh, it's right by the Naval Museum. I'm like, I knew where the boats were. I didn't know that there was a museum there. So that obviously has been huge for me, for Buffalo, and for Canal, and that really kind of brought a ton of people down to Canal Side.
And we have a connection because after we broke the world record for the longest hockey game at like 7 a.m. on a Monday,
we opened up for you.
Mike calls me and is like, bar's open, it's all you guys. So we all marched over there, dragged over there.
Great memories.
We spent
That
the day.
was a great day. Yeah, it was a great day.
It was a great day. And it was hot, and it was a gorgeous day like today.
Nothing better than that patio on a beautiful day.
Yeah, yeah. So that was Liberty Hound, and there's been a couple others.
Yeah, from Liberty Hound, I think I did, and Morpat and ABV came in, Ellenberger Venture. Those kind of, I think Morpat opened in right around Thanksgiving, and then ABV opened up the day before the St. Patty's Parade. So
such good burgers at ABV.
Oh my gosh, the best.
Yeah, that's Dino DeBell, my partner there. He just unbelievable, just such a talented cook, and he just runs that place.
We drove by there last weekend, and it was packed. It was like Sunday afternoon.
It was like brunch time.
Packed.
Like a brunch.
Yeah, I think ABV's like the one. I'm sure there's a couple others, but the one spot that hasn't skipped a beat. We since COVID hit, we never did to-go burgers before that, and then we kind of figured out a way to.
Yeah.
And it was nonstop all day selling burgers to go. So now we're back open, and we've kind of adjusted things a little, changed the dynamic of the kitchen in order to do on-premise and to-go burgers, and it's really done well for us.
I commend you because Amy and I, one Sunday afternoon, it was during COVID, everything was shut down, kind of getting back, and Coles was able to sell some cocktails out front. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And we show up, there's Stacy, you can talk about her in a minute. There's your sister serving drinks. We walk in, your brother's there serving food. I walk in the kitchen, and you're cooking food. So the three of you are back at Coles because you had to be, right? I mean, that was not an easy time.
Yeah, a couple shifts. It was me, Dave, and Stacy in the kitchen. And it was, it was kind of weird, but we at that point you have to, it's Coles is what we're about. That started us off, and Dave, I guess would have been 12 when my dad bought it. I was a newborn. Stacy wasn't even around yet, and that's where we all
cut our teeth there.
So that's if I had to pick any place, that's the place I love the most, and it's where I grew up, and it's where
I
I'm
remember
sure
ladies' night.
I'm sure
Tuesdays.
you guys may have had some beers
Once or twice.
before you're supposed to back in the day, and it's kind of it's a different world now, but it's everyone went there, and then I'd go away to college, and during Thanksgiving or Christmas break, you would go to Cole's, and everybody
goes to Cole.
from Narden and Nichols and Joe, everybody would be there,
Yep.
and it was great.
Yep.
So that's
We're on YouTube, so if anybody out there wants to ask Mike Shatzel a question, feel free to ask it. So speaking of family, I've known you since, before high school.
yeah. When Stacy,
I played basketball with Stacy, and I
And
went to
there,
Canisius camp with Sarah. And you played basketball, and you played for University of Rochester
yeah, Johns Hopkins,
and Johns Hopkins, and I was playing at Buff State, and
Yep.
we crossed paths.
yeah.
But we've known each other for quite a while.
Yeah, I just would have been my 30-year reunion from Nichols this year, so that kind of got canceled. And basketball was a big thing for me. I played at Nichols and played with Christian Leitner, and
It's awesome.
went on to play in college. And so it's basketball's always been a big thing. And then same with you at Buff State and Narden. So it's don't like it as much as I used to, but I watch way more hockey than I do.
Oh, here we
Than
go.
I do basketball.
I knew he was going to segue into this.
Yeah, but
So,
I can't skate, but I enjoy hockey more than basketball now. It's kind of weird.
all
But
right,
I love Luka Doncic.
So Aim, you know that he's talking about hockey because he wants to get in a plug here. So we're part of the T-Bone Fantasy Hockey League, right? We're in year 19,
19 or 20.
right?
Yeah.
20 if you count, but there was a holdout year there, so
Yeah.
we're in 19 officially. And every year, I had to excuse myself for a couple years, but it's been going on for 19 years. This year, Liam and our son Liam, have a team in it, and it's such a great group of guys. Stevie Kennedy and Witt and Johnny Ballgame, Teddy
Bellis
Lesh,
and Boron and
Chris Boron,
we
Brian Johnson from the Honey Badgers. He's in there. Petco, Matty Patty. Who else?
I guess we got to mention Steve Witt
Steve Witt. Yeah. So
JK.
Steve's been part of the event
from right from the beginning.
Brian Johnson's had a team in our event the last couple of years. So there's a connection between what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, Schatz is currently in first place.
Defending champ, also the
Yeah.
cups in my house.
It's got to stick that in there.
It's a lot of fun though.
It's the funniest story. So T-Bone, first couple years when you won with the Ward
2006
with the Ward pickup on waivers.
You won? What did you win?
He won the cup.
I think
but there was no cup then.
It was like $10, right?
So the first year, Teddy spends a bunch of money and gets an actual cup made. Like we spent like $400 or $500. So I win the first year that the cup. So
When in Blue Monk, right?
it was right around Blue Monk days,
Okay.
and we have a party at Cole's. We're cracking high-end Belgian beer, Duvel, and we got pretty wasted. And Stevie Kennedy's working down the street at McGarrett's, so we decided to go. And Teddy always had like a 10 o'clock. He's like 10 o'clock Teddy. He could never stay out at So now it's a little after 10. We still got Teddy out. We go down to see Stevie, and I'm pretty lit at this point, if I'm allowed to say that. So I walk
Show,
in.
but we're okay for now.
I walk in and I take the
Not
cup
as bad as last night.
and I stick it over my head like this.
Like
It's
the
Stevie,
Stanley Cup.
yeah. But I got it by the bottom. I don't have it like this.
Right.
And what do? I stick it right into a ceiling fan, and the ceiling fan grabs the cup and like twirls it around and sends it flying against the wall. It smashes and breaks in half.
Classic.
Teddy turned white. I think I won like $400 or $500 winning the cup, and I had to give it all back to Teddy to fix the cup.
Nice job. Well,
So it's
you're on your way. You're on your way to winning another one. So we'll see. So last year you won
won last year, yeah.
because I wasn't in it.
I think I won three times. It's great. And it's for 20 years. I still think I have the best pick ever. Our first year, I took. Everyone thought Forsberg was hurt, and I took Forsberg in like the 16th round.
And he played right away?
He played the whole time. So I had Sakic and Forsberg, and
Yeah, but I have a rule named after.
I think
me.
you might have won that one, or Bellis would have won that one. But but I was real close.
But I have a rule named after me, so.
Yeah, we had to change that. No goalies allowed on waivers.
Well, back to 11 Day. You guys, this whole thing, it's kind of like very quickly become a Buffalo thing, and having New Era, all these names like New Era, Tops, Crawley Webb. These are everything that we do is kind of Buffalo centric, and having Thin Man, Coles, all your families. We always wanted it to be like a Buffalo thing, so it's awesome that you guys are involved and stay involved. The beer has gone bonkers this year.
Mm-hmm.
They have
$13,000.
Yeah.
You've raised for us.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
if you know
amazing
that.
what you guys have accomplished in just 4 short years, and just driving around and being just the amount of people you see, and
In your bars wearing 11 Day
yeah,
stuff.
11-day hats and shirts, and not even you're in Wegmans and people are walking around. You just see stickers on cars, and it's such cool how this thing has become so Buffalo, and that's hats off to you guys for making this happen.
Besides knowing us, Mike, and helping us with the event, like, is there a reason why the 11 Day is important to you? Are there family members or friends
it's like my dad, both my parents are cancer survivors. My mom had it when I was pretty young, and I obviously wasn't aware of what was going on, and it was treatable. And then my dad had a crazy story. He had exposure. He was in the Korean War, and then he had exposed. They blew up an island, and a bunch of guys were on. He was on the deck of the boat, and they got hit with fallout.
Oh, wow.
It's the craziest story you ever heard. So they, they sprayed them down and burned all their clothes and all this stuff. And like 20, 30 years into they were in the 50s. So, yeah, like 30 years after, a lot of the guys were on the deck. They all started getting colon cancer, stomach cancers. And they couldn't figure out, but every guy that was out there got it, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And then they eventually figured out that, we burned all the clothes, we did this, how are these guys getting this cancer? And they figured out that they all kept their belts.
Oh, wow.
And then the belt buckle was like so radioactive.
Wow.
And then whatever happened, so all these guys, I think majority of them are dead besides my dad. And then in 86, 87, they told my dad he's got 3 months to live.
Wow.
He was bad. He was in bad shape. He had crazy, he aged like 40 years in weeks. It's nuts. And then he beat it. I forget his Dr. Cooper. He credits for saving his life. And now this is 87. So where are we at? 33 years later, and he's still here. So it's it's pretty crazy. And then CB's Jen got Chris's sister had cancer, and an ex-girlfriend of mine, Marcy, she had a really bad case of cancer. So there was a lot of people that I'm close to that, and for me to be able to, writing a check for $100 is it's great, but like doing something like this where you can
it's thousands, tens of thousands,
really raise some money and awareness. It's a great thing to be part of.
Yeah.
And it's for sale right now at Riverworks, and obviously in the grocery stores too. So if anybody hasn't tried the 11-Day Power Pills, which, Mike, can you describe what kind of? I can describe it, but you probably do a better job.
Yeah, it's like a very clean, crisp, easy drinking pilsner. We kind of went for, IPAs are so in right now, but we thought we'd hit a broader audience with a lower alcohol, more easy to drink.
It's delicious.
We kind of call it sessionable, where you can drink 4 or 5 and still operate.
Yep.
So,
And we
we just thought that was and Rudy's been our head brewer Rudy's this guy puts hours in, you don't believe, and he doesn't complain. Well, he complains a little.
Wow.
But
don't we all?
maybe
Listen,
a little.
he let us come in and watch it all.
But
get
he's an animal, and he's so talented, and we're so lucky to have him.
We brewed with him in 17, 16, whatever, when we did the first batch.
Yep.
And then he was still there when you guys moved to Chandler Street, and that was awesome. And
Well, he explains everything. We had our top fundraisers at the time come in and brew this beer with us.
Yeah.
And Rudy explained it all. And, they even dumped the hops. I mean, you'd probably be able to describe it better than me, but they were actually able to put the ingredients in.
Yeah, it's like when you do like a beer with people, it's like the ultimate photo op, everyone smiles and they got the bucket of hops.
Yeah,
and
I brewed this beer.
Yeah, and that's like when I do these, if I'm like with a collaboration with another brewery, I don't know anything about brewing, very little, So Rudy's basically probably forgot more about beer than I know.
Yeah.
But I know brands and breweries and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a cool thing to be a part of, and everyone loves holding that bucket, and
Right.
it's, dumping it in, and to have friends, that aren't in the industry and be able to do a beer like this for people and for such a good cause, we're so happy to be a part of it.
We had several 11-day power play Original 40 in Riverworks the other night, and I turned around and there was like this, but they were all empty.
Yeah.
There was like
Of course,
three
Boron
of
was
these.
there.
Yeah.
I know Greg Bigliotti just chimed in on YouTube and said that he's had several.
Several.
Oh, a
couple.
couple in quotation
Yeah.
marks. So we know what that means.
Couple dozen, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so where do we go from here? So we are going to finish out this event on Sunday, and then,
Only 5 more days, Mike.
I know.
This
that
beer is-
looks like a very comfy place you're sleeping in over there.
Well, I'm excited to have this
Yeah.
at night.
yeah, I think we're wrapping up the last few cases. I know that these guys Riverworks bought a bunch of cases.
Yeah, thank you, Riverworks, for the support. And
Yep, because they brew their own beer here too. So
And get the collectible can if you haven't, because once these are gone, from what Rudy was telling me, we're down to like the last few cases.
Yeah, I think it's with getting Riverworks on board, which has been huge for us. I don't think there's much left at all.
I love how you guys. It's a really interesting industry because you guys all know each other. In a way, you're competitors, but in a way, like you collaborate all the time and you talk to each. It's a very
Everyone helps everybody
very
out.
interesting. It's very interesting.
It's relatively a jerk-free. It's not the word I was looking for, but
a nice guy environment.
yeah, everyone helps each other, and if it's, hey, I'm short on Mosaic hops, can you help me out? And somebody just get me back when you get them back in. It's really, you think it would be, it's definitely competitive. You want to have the best beer out there,
right.
but it's, I'm very friendly with, a lot of the other brewery owners, like Jeff Ware and I are really good friends.
So I see Community Beer Works like on your menu at Kohl's, for instance.
Yeah. I try to support all the local breweries, and it's CBW, 42 North, Flying Bison. They had the Rusty Chain launch at Kohl's, and it's pretty much never come off the taps. There's so many good breweries. Pressure Drop coming up now, and I know I'm going to forget a couple. Big Ditch is a monster.
Right.
You got little places like Brightside with the tap room that was great for Williamsville, and
anything
Froth.
new? Anything new you see coming down? Like I know I've seen some distilleries, and I've seen some like vodkas and gins come out. Anything new that you see coming down the pike?
Just on the way here, I never even heard of Hartman's Distillery, and that looks gorgeous.
Yep,
right next to Resurgence. So now I'm gonna have to go check that out. And unfortunately, as a guy in beer, the thing that the seltzers are crazy. So you're seeing what I'm seeing is a lot of breweries that I actually have a lot of respect for are starting to make some.
And the big boys, are, like the Bud Lights of the world, are starting to make seltzers, which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, that's not going well for them. But Truly started. I think Truly and White Claw were the big thing, and we brought it in, and it's crazy what that has become. And when I started seeing, my buddy owns a brewery called Stillwater, and I got a ton of respect for, and he made them. I'm like, well, if Brian's making them, and maybe.
He's out of town, right? I think I met him at some point.
He's he was kind of like a gypsy brewer, so he has somebody make his beer. He lives out in he was in New York City, now he's out in Seattle. But
we met at a Sabres game. That's what it was.
Yeah, he's a awesome guy, and he specializes in beer that people don't want necessarily buy as much anymore, like saisons and Belgian styles. But he's switched gears and makes amazing IPAs and then these seltzers, which some of them I wasn't a big fan, and I actually tried some of them. They're actually pretty good. So
I like them.
yeah.
So what is
So
next?
Morgan Haddich, remember Morgan?
Oh yes, Morgan.
She's a sour girl. So what?
One of our captains.
Okay.
She's a Buffalo police officer, Morgan Haddich. They played earlier. She wants
we
to know.
asked her
She
if
wanted
she
to
liked-
request.
Yeah.
What type of sour?
Well, we asked her in her interview if she liked the 11-day Power Pills, and she was kind of like, well, yeah, it's
Not
just
my
a
thing.
Pilsner.
Yeah.
She's like, we really want like a sour beer. And I said we would ask.
They were all
maybe,
about it.
Maybe next year.
Well, Minky Boodles are that's our number one selling beer, and that's a raspberry sour, and that's we make so much of that at this point. We just had to buy additional tanks just
Really?
to keep up for the demand.
And Chandler Street, you make it?
Chandler, yeah. So if you like the original brewery on Elmwood, that's a 15-barrel tank
Right.
that we brew into. Now we have tanks that are 150 barrels.
10
With
times.
so 30, yeah. So we have a 30-barrel brew house. So they have to make Minky 5 consecutive times in order to fill that. So that's like a full day
Wow.
thing, and that's it's crazy.
And you can't keep up.
No, and we just opened. So we just opened. We're starting to sell some beer to Colorado. During COVID, we've opened up Colorado, D.C., Virginia, and Florida.
Wow.
So it's really taken off, and Philadelphia area is doing great for us. We just opened in Pittsburgh, and we should be opening Massachusetts in the next month or so.
I may have heard
So-
a rumor about Chandler Street. Is there any future plans with Chandler Street?
We're expanding it, and then Rocco is opening the pool
That's what
the
I heard
pool
about.
thing next.
Yeah.
Rocco Tremini.
Yeah, Rocco, who is my partner in the tap rooms there. Yeah, he's opened up. I thought he was kind of crazy, but everything he seems to touch turns to gold. So I'm not going to doubt him. I just thought swimming over on Chandler Street was kind of a weird thing, but
Hey,
I've
Buffalo.
seen
open a lot.
Ben Siegel does all the drawings and everything. Very talented guy, and I think it would be the first thing like that in Buffalo. And I remember when I opened Blue Monk, and a friend of mine, Larissa, came up to me and she's like, I feel like I'm not even in Buffalo when I'm in here. And that, to me, that was such a cool thing because I wanted to kind of bring
Right.
outside Buffalo to Buffalo, and
Yeah.
and then I think that's Rocco's son lives in Miami Beach, and Rocco goes down there often. And I think this pool place is trying to
Yeah.
bring something.
Yep.
And he just thinks differently, and he thinks outside of the box, and
Good.
I've learned a lot from him, and it's a really good partner to be involved with because maybe I had a little narrow mind. I just kind of craft beer and that's it, restaurants, but I'm sure it's going to be wildly successful.
I'm sure it will. Somebody just asked, what's the one thing that you haven't brewed yet that you want to?
I want to. The one thing, there's a brewery called Hudson Valley, obviously in the Hudson Valley, doing some really amazing sour IPAs that I would love to start trying to do that. We're about to release our first barrel aged beer. Rudy's crazy, really, really, really. I don't think I've seen more excited about a beer that he's made. It's and it was an Imperial Oktoberfest aged in Templeton rye barrels. So
Wow.
we're releasing that this weekend. I haven't tried it, but
So do you bring in say you want to do the sour IPA or whatever, do you bring in somebody else's and kind of promote it and see how it sells, or you just go for it?
we just go for it.
Yeah.
Which now it's we have the big production brewery at Chandler, which allows us to make 90 to 150 barrels of any beer. And then Elmwood at 15 barrels lets us to experiment and
Yeah.
put out. You don't hit a home run every time, but Rudy's got a pretty amazing. If he's a baseball player, he'd be a Hall of Famer. Beers coming out of there are amazing, and that's what I get excited about is the new things and calling the breweries and saying let's make a beer together, and all my contacts for the years of buying beer, and and it's now it's it's not just a U.S. thing anymore. Craft beer is truly global. Like in the last couple of years, I poured Thin Man in China, Portugal, Denmark, Belgium. Right now I've seen people popping up drinking the beer through Untapped. You can kind of see it, and we sent a bunch of beer to England, so it's in England, Spain. It's just pretty. We just brewed a beer with a brewery, like a virtual collab with buddies of mine that own a brewery in Australia.
It's awesome.
So it's pretty wild what this beer is.
One of the things Amy and I were talking about before you got on was you and our good friend Chris Boron, CB, have gone to. Well, you tell me how many Olympics. You guys have traveled the world together, and it's pretty cool because you guys do it. Unfortunately, you couldn't do it this year because of COVID, but you go to all the Olympics all over the world. Yeah,
so Chris and I have been to Vancouver, London, Sochi. He went. I missed Rio, and then
Europe,
South Korea. So he's been to 5. I've been to 4, and then Tokyo this year would have been my 5th, and you get like this cool jacket when you hit 5, and so Tokyo, obviously not this year, but then we'll go next July, and it's.
Do you go with the same group of people every year?
It's Merritt, Chris's buddy from Fredonia.
Yep.
Merritt runs the whole thing, and it's and these guys. I've become so tight with, like there's like a group of like 5 or 6 of us that we kind of hang out It's weird because you don't see each other. Every 2 years you see each other, and it's like time hasn't skipped a beat.
Right.
And most of they're all West Coast guys. Some Tahoe, and Merritt lives in Denver, and it's awesome. And then one guy who kind of got semi-famous at the last one. He carries this little Knight Rider doll around, and he just takes pictures all around. He's like obsessed with it, and he's a crazy hockey guy. He lives in Australia, American guy. From New York, from like Hudson Valley area, and a couple of those guys grew up. Another guy's a pilot that lives in Dubai, and it's crazy. And we just all hit it. Chris knew him, and then I just hit it off with him. And I love this thing.
Yeah,
you get to see the world, and people I don't want it to come to the U.S. because I've been pretty much everywhere in the U.S.
Right.
So I love it when it's in like weird places. And Summer Olympics, I've only been to the one. It was okay. I love it because we're all hockey guys, so you got to bid on your tickets, and we try to go as many hockey games as possible. And then the skiing's really cool. And last in South Korea, we went to speed skating. That was amazing. Wow. That was so cool.
And they're huge in South Korea.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's like they're like
the North Korean
fanatical
team there, and the military. Like it was so weird. It was they were pretty close to us, and just you could feel like the tension and the presence, and it was wild though, but it was something I'll never forget.
So lots of great food and all these different.
Korea, the food in Korea was mind blowing.
I saw your pictures on social media, and I was like, I wish I could try
just
that.
Like the markets, and once you kind of overcome, like a couple of the guys ate like live octopus, and it was like still moving. Like I drew the line there, but
fried some butter.
We had a crazy time at a Korean steakhouse when we didn't really listen to the rules and almost burnt the restaurant down. That was because there's like so much fat in this it's a Kobe style beef, like really high, and they're like, don't put too much on the grill, and none of us were listening. We put everything on the grill, and the fats, and the fire blows up, and it was
pouring salt on.
Oh my God, it was wild. But those are some of the best trips I've ever been on. And Merritt does such an amazing job putting everything together, and then he does like this. I forget the name of it, but like where you go to Ireland or Spain. Next year's I think is New Zealand, and he puts like these runs together. Like you run like a 5-mile run through the jungle or the beaches, and then everyone just there's beer at the end, and they all hang out. And it's so one of these years I might get in shape and and go on one of those. New Zealand's
instead of staying at the end.
Yeah, like I know some guys just kind of go and help organize everything.
We all have our role, Mike. We all have our role.
But New Zealand's like that's very tempting to go see.
So, Mike, you talked about a lot of all of your restaurants. As a Buffalo guy, who could you give props to? Like, what's your favorite restaurant? besides your own?
Hutch's is a big favorite of mine. I can walk there from where I live, and I've known Mark for a long time. And
Looks great.
I just went there for the first time.
Yep.
I love going there. I just sit at the bar. I'm a bar guy. I love sitting at the bar.
Oh yeah. Talk to Randy.
Yeah, I think Randy's retired. He's been there. I don't know, maybe since the beginning.
Wow.
Great guy. I love Toutant. James does an amazing job. He's just eyes for details. I love going there.
You love New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. I got married in New Orleans, and it's close to my heart.
Been to the
that
place down the road on Chandler? We haven't been there.
I have not been to Waxlight yet. Usually, when the place opens, I give them a couple months to. I'm sure that place didn't need it for the all-star cast they have there.
Yep.
To get everything in order, but I usually give them a couple months to
Haven't been there
figure
yet.
everything out. Well, I think we're gonna have to have a
Done.
date there.
Done.
After Sunday.
And I still like. I love going to San Aceros.
Love San
Yeah.
Aceros.
That's.
Love it.
I'm a Red Sox guy. Sinatra's, I think, is amazing.
Sinatra's right around the corner from our house, so
We're there a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I love Veal Parm and the artichoke franchise there, and Mike Sinatra's just like so talented and knows what he's doing.
I love sitting at the bar there too.
I haven't been to the Wings, best wings around.
That's a tough one.
I love mine, but
Cole's is awesome.
I
Wings.
think-
I love
You
Cole's.
can never go wrong at Kohl's.
I think all my places at Wings, Morpat is the best wings.
Really?
Of all my places, I
Yep.
think.
What's the trick there? Why
I
is
don't
it
know.
different?
Were they?
Small places for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
it's we brine them in beer there, so we're small. We don't go through we'll sell in in a day there what we might sell in a half hour at Kohl's.
Wow.
But you have the time there to properly rest. When you take them out of the fryer, you can let them sit for a minute or two and crisp up, and then sauce them. Kohl's you got 3-4 burgers and a chicken sandwich waiting on the wings, and
Right.
you don't really have. Sometimes you don't have the ability to properly let them rest and crisp up. Out of the fryer into the sauce,
Yeah.
get them out. And aside from it's hard not to say Barbell.
I know.
That's
One of my favorites is Kelly's Corner.
I haven't had
Oh, you gotta
those.
try.
It's
It's a
you know,
rub.
it's a classic.
G. McCarthy's. I love their Schmitty wings. Same with Tommy
Schmitty
Cowan's
wings are
over
awesome.
on at 40 Thieves. I'm a big fan of theirs. I haven't been to 9/11.
The owner of 9/11 just died recently.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, I never met him. Some of the big Elmo's, these places that people talk about. I think there's the place in Hamburg,
Mimosers.
Mimosers, and then another one that sells a lot of craft beer. I can't think of, but and then Ange Canna and J. Pasquaro, their restaurant, not wings, but Lucia's out on the
Lucia's.
lake. That's I don't get out there enough, but that food is amazing, and it's just it's in Hamburg. I can't go there. And you think about it, it's like
It's not far.
hop on the
And Ange
highway.
had some good fortune with Dose. Dose on the lake with they have a huge patio, and after COVID allowed things to open, they had enough space to have some
Yeah, they got-
nice
yeah,
really
that's-
spot on the water.
Yeah, and Ange and I have been friends since probably 88 or 89.
Who doesn't know Ange?
Yeah.
Everyone knows Ange.
So
love Ange.
there's a lot of people doing great things out there.
And your favorite thing to do with your kids? You've got 2 beautiful children. I know you spend a lot of time
Yeah,
with them.
with Cole, I love. He's so into baseball right now. So we were lucky. I thought the season was going to be canceled, and we were lucky enough to get him on the travel team at Shoshone this year, and he just loves it. He's eating it up. He's pretty good. He's only 7, but he's playing 8, 9-year-olds and holding his own and doing real well. And then there's a place. My daughter loves going on hikes, and so we took this place, Wiskoy Falls, which no one's really ever heard of. And a girl I know on Facebook put a picture up, and we went there yesterday, and it's gorgeous. It's like an hour and 15 minutes away. But if you got kids, I highly recommend it. There's waterfalls. You can jump off the falls into a swimming hole, and it's wild. So
That's one thing about COVID. I think it's allowed us to kind of explore other areas of New York State that we've never seen.
yeah, it's and it's. I travel so much because I love traveling, and then the Thin Man takes me everywhere. So I've missed a lot of time with my kids, probably too much. So in that sense, COVID's been a good thing because I've spent so much time with them and realized probably what I was missing taking those trips.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so my daughter's a little afraid to fly because we had some turbulence coming from San Diego a couple of years ago. So I'm trying to get her out of that. But last year I took them to Vancouver for a week, and it was the best trip I've ever been on. We did Vancouver, went up to Whistler, we saw a grizzly, and we went over to Victoria Island and went on a orca killer whale tour, and we saw like 20 killer whales, and it was just hiking through the woods, and it was such a cool trip. So
Awesome.
hopefully they can catch my bug of traveling, and
I'm sure they will.
While I'm here, I like to show them as much of the world as possible.
Awesome.
So
Well, Mike, we're gonna wrap up.
All right.
Let you get home to the wonderful kiddos, and this has been awesome. We see each other all the time, but to kind of reminisce is always fun.
I'm looking forward. In the last couple of years, I usually have if there's some Game 7s in the playoffs, I have Teddy and Stevie ball games out west, so he won't make it anymore. But I usually extend the invite to everybody but Whit to come over, for a Game 7 party. So I will. I'll set aside a couple cases of 11 Day for.
All right.
There's going to be a couple.
All right.
Well, thank you for bringing us the treats.
Yeah.
We'll
All right.
enjoy those.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Thanks,
Michael.
Mike.
All right.
Great
Cheers.
to see you, brother.
Great to see you as well.